Okay, I see. Okay, I do see how it does admit. Hey, Brenna, I'm not sure what was going on with your link. Did everyone else's link work okay? Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, so there is some new updates to Zoom where we have to admit people in. So I don't know if it was, we just weren't seeing that you need to be admitted in, but
Or maybe I was clicking in before you were here and, wouldn't. It said it wasn't valid, so maybe it has to be activated or already going by the host to be considered valid.
sure.
I don't know.
Maybe I should send it back out to the group just to on the email.
Yeah, Brian said he's not able to make it.
Okay.
So I don't know
Um,
who else we're waiting on then.
okay, I think it's just Chris Corpola was the other confirmed, and Katie and Deanna are our core group here.
Okay.
All right, Krista, looks like we're live on YouTube. So Brenna, whenever you're ready, I will put up our agenda and at times kind of scroll through to different products as we look at them. So turn it over to you.
Okay, so we'll get started. Do we need to do an official roll call with Zoom?
Yep.
There.
So we
Okay.
do, and I can do that if you'd like. Just kind of go down the list of attendees that we have here today. So we've got Brenna Jasper with Menominee PD. She's the chair of this group. We got Krista Vinn with Dunn County IT and supporting our live stream today. We have Deanna Arntzen out of the District Attorney's Office, our Deferred Prosecution Coordinator. And we have Katie Shalley, Clerk of Court. And I'm Sarah Benedict, Dunn County Criminal Justice Coordinator. If others do join us, I'll just introduce them, I guess, as they arrive. But that's our attendance right now.
Moving on to the minutes from our last meeting on August 24th. Sarah sent those out along with the agenda. Any discussion or thoughts with those?
I'd like a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Katie.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Krista. And that brings us then to staff reports.
Me unmute here. All right. A couple different things to update the group. So Arbor Place, they have the prevention side, the Dunn County Partnership for Youth. They have a couple of grant options that could help us facilitate some of our alcohol awareness campaign. Kathy at Arbor reached out to me late last week and said potentially there could be 2 mini grants totaling $1,500 that could go towards assessing the issues of alcohol and then education around alcohol consumption. More to come on that, I guess, because Arbor Place would potentially go after several grants. Brenna, I understand they're talking with you on some of other projects that are going on. So we don't have, I guess, any specific ask right now. It's just potentially there could be some money out there for us to utilize. So as we kind of later on in the agenda, as we're talking about the alcohol initiative and the forum idea, I guess keep in mind that we potentially could have some funds to go towards that. And maybe we want to think about if we were to go after some of that funding, how would we use that? I understand the grant applications fairly streamlined and low burden there. And us having minutes, we're recording and meeting some of the grant criteria. Just good opportunity to have some funding if we need. Next issue or point on staff reports, October 8th, there's going to be an alcohol policy seminar. Arbor Place was sponsoring some folks to attend. That's a full day Zoom, but to learn more about alcohol policy in the state in general. So I know Chris Corpola has signed up for that. I intend to participate for some of that, and then just kind of see how that can support what we're doing in this work group and others. I just want to give the heads up, the executive meets on Wednesday, so I'll be taking the outcomes of our meeting today to them on Wednesday for any recommendations that we have and anything that needs to be approved. And then with the other work groups, we've got some collaboration going on, some calls for help from our DEC work group. As I mentioned last time, their idea of putting together a public service announcement. So right now they're drafting that. And once they have something approved, they're looking for like 2 to 3 minutes. They want to connect back with this work group for some assistance in putting the PSA together. And then we have our EBDM work group is looking to put together training for law enforcement on the proxy and pre-charge diversion. That could be potentially up to an hour's worth of video, but probably less than an hour. But connect back to this group for some help on that. So that work group's also going to be putting together some stuff. And then our data work group, we just met on Friday, and we have, as some of you may know, have a pretty robust OWI data set, and really want to connect with this work group as we are looking at the alcohol initiative and the forum potentially. What are some of the data that could help us support the messaging that we're doing? So we have the data and we've got a lot of different directions we can go with it, but it could be very helpful in moving, kind of illustrating some of the challenges that we've got going on, and the things that we want to kind of focus on with our forum. And then also with the data work group, they've been busy putting together recidivism measures of the programs, but there really needs to be a kind of a plain language companion document that would be helpful to really for the layperson to understand the recidivism and the programs that we're talking about. So we'll draft something up in that work group and then bring it back to this one for that really proofing and helping us have that cohesive message that's really makes sense to staff, the public, and our stakeholders. So just trying to coordinate our messaging and the different work group activities. So that is my staff report for right now, unless there's questions.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
So moving on to the alcohol initiative piece. So last meeting we had good conversation about those posters, and Chris brought the idea of a QR code, excuse me, that would take people to the county website, a landing page there with information available on that. And so Krista was like right on the ball with sending out some kind of drafts of the code or different ways that it can be laid out. And then I believe has also done some website work as well. So I wanted to take this point to have some discussion reviewing the code drafts as they came out, and then have some website discussion as well. So here we go. Sarah's got them.
Yep, just pulling them up, and I just add that we got Chris Corpola joined us as well. Okay, so I'm just kind of shrinking the screen down a little bit. So these are the 3 drafts that Krista made for the QR code for options for a safe ride home. If these were, we talked about really putting these on a label and affixing that to our posters when we distribute them. So these are probably a little bit larger than they would appear on the label, but can give you a sense of the 3 that we can choose from. And then this is what we initially at our last meeting kind of wanted for that, for the stickers. So just kind of turn it back to you guys for discussion then.
With the QR code, before we do a final printout of them, I wanted to make sure that we test them and that they're good. And, you know, and that may change a bit on whether it looks exactly like one of these. I can mess around with it and make it look similar, but it could just be the plain QR code. But yeah, we'll just have to go from there.
Okay.
I like the one that's got the little Dunn County, is that the Dunn County logo stuck in the very middle of it?
It is.
It's the CJCC logo.
Oh,
Yeah.
the CJCC logo. Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
a widow. That's a widow tiny one. Oh, they're in both of them. Oh, I didn't even
Yeah.
see it in the other one. Yep.
I suppose it would be even smaller once we got it on a label. But,
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm thinking just a plain one would probably be best.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I like the, you know, using the logo wherever we can use it. But I think for just simplicity's sake, probably the top one would be, because I like the little arrow too, you know, and kind of the
Me too. Now that you say
script.
that.
I do too, because, you know, being kind of ignorant to technology at times, I'm like, what is even a QR code when they first were coming out? So that scan me is, I think, helpful to understand, you know, what to do with that for folks that might not have used those before.
Plus, it's also kind of like a little challenge. You're like, hey, see what I got going on here. I think we should put them on humans. You should divulge all your information in
That's
one scan,
coming,
and then you
right?
can just, I know,
Just
I
like the
know.
dog and cat chips, you
Yeah.
know?
So does anybody have any other thoughts? Are people okay with that, going with that top design?
I am.
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the tagline, we're okay with that?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
So those 2 on labels, and then that's once Krista confirms that it works, and then we can print those and affix them to the posters.
Awesome. Great. And then for the landing page piece, was that piece still in development, Krista, or was that what you were saying you want to make sure is up and running?
The website part is up and running.
Okay. Just the link.
I just want to make sure the QR code is working properly.
Got it. Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
right.
look at that.
I
Yep,
looked at
that's
that.
awesome.
Nice. Super handy. Okay. Great. Is there anything else that should be available on this page, do we think, or do we just keep it like plain and simple, clear? Any thoughts on that?
Can you guys view the page right now? Can you see it?
I see it on your screen.
Okay, good. Yeah,
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to
Mhm.
kind of trying to illustrate it. I guess I just noticed it says making a safe choice and make the safe choice. I don't know if we want to be consistent or
Yeah, I would say that would be a good suggestion.
Yeah. Yep.
want
I
to go
like
with
make.
make.
That's Steve. I like make.
Okay.
Another challenge.
Yeah, I like that. Well, that's, you know, consistency in verbiage is a really important piece of branding and communication. So that was a good catch, Sarah.
So
You
now
know,
this is the list that we can update at any time, right? As we have different vendors or transportation options in the community.
Yep.
And that QR code would just link back to this website, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And yep, here's our posters.
Yay. I don't know if it'll do one hairy bit of good, but it's cool.
It's a resource, you know, and it gives
Mhm.
us a place to point people, you know, if they're looking for information or resources. So
Mm-hmm.
good. Okay.
Best, oh, never mind. I'm not going to say what I'm going to say. Never mind.
Okay. So I think that looks great then, and that we have the QR code settled. So yeah, just let us know then when that is ready to go, and we'll move ahead with that piece.
When it is ready, is this something that we'd want to put out on our social media platforms? Just the QR?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can put it out there. I think what will probably happen is a little bit of some similar conversation to when we posted at the end of last year. You know, why don't you have Pulse Party Bus? Why don't you have X, Y, and Z? So I think when we do that, we make it very clear that, you know, we reached out to these companies, they were interested in, you know, we just sort of not like have a big long thing, but just a
We could do it in the other alternative, though, to say that if you are a vendor who wishes to be added to this list, contact us.
Yeah.
on the website.
Yep.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea because that's updatable.
Yep.
Sure.
Exactly.
Good.
And then that sort of lets it off of that gets out of the argument about who does what or how, you know, it's just like if
Yes.
you want to be on here, let us know. We'll stick you on.
Great. Awesome. So moving ahead, that actually ties in a little bit with the next agenda item, going over the coordinated PR calendar, which Sarah kind of updated, jazzed up a little bit.
Yeah, just a different kind of format so we can kind of see it.
I like it.
Good.
And so let me see, for September, we had the family treatment court stuff out, which I think I talked about this with Sarah in our planning meeting, but our post for the family treatment court graduation on the various pages got a fair amount of really positive attention, which was nice to see. You know, just the support in that way. That was cool. So since it's already kind of the end of September, we would probably it would probably be, you know, into October by the time we would have the posters ready, the QR codes to link to the website to kind of explain all of that. So I think we can, sort of transplant that piece that Sarah just highlighted and tackle that in October for the posters. I think as far as some like the mental illness, domestic violence, that kind of thing for October, the awareness months, not months. I think what would probably be best would just be to share and support the messaging from Bridge to Hope, other entities that sort of specialize in that to further spread the word about where these resources are. So I know there's that really comprehensive brochure from the county from, I believe, Stepping Up work group that made it, or no, it was I think it's a Health Done Right coalition about mental health resources.
Yep, there is. The other thing that I would say is, Krista's still with us. We can resurrect our, we put it out a few times at the beginning of COVID, but if this isn't necessarily National Mental Health Illness Awareness Month stuff, but we've got I had a post that ran to, spoke to if you're in need of resources and can't afford them, and to call us, our agency.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, so yeah, just sort of reinforcing the messaging that's already out there and what resources are available.
And maybe, so not to contradict that, because I totally agree, Brenna, but maybe we should create something brief that, okay, so if our whole purpose is to, not our whole purpose, but if a purpose of ours is to continue to positively promote the work that's happening within our county related to the CJCC, maybe we draft something quick that just says something along the lines of the Criminal Justice Collaborating Council is whatever, you know, promotes or joins in, I don't know, something, you know, something that ties the council to the action, you know,
Mhm.
the CJCC longer, you know, Criminal Justice Collaborating Council, it joins with the whoever does the National Mental Health Awareness Month to encourage whatever. I don't know. I'd have to think about the language, but something that makes a more direct tie.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for the pieces that relate directly back to us, like that mental health aspect, whether or not that's like stepping up or talking about some maybe the programming that's offered in the jail or resources or, you know, things that are through the CJCC. I think so yeah, where it relates to the group or the, you know, system as a whole for sure.
And maybe like for the domestic violence piece, it would be like the Criminal Justice Collaborating Council is proud to have a partner in the Bridge to Hope, you know, and then their information.
Well, and Naomi sits on some of the subcommittees, doesn't she?
Yeah, and there's other staff that's part of our deck and our data work group. Mhm.
Yeah, so I think maybe highlighting that and highlighting some of the partnerships would be good for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
that
it has to
stuff.
be like tons of verbiage, but just something that makes the more overtly the connection.
The connection. Yeah, I like it.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree. That sounds good.
I'm just wondering for Katie with the Jury Awareness Month, anything that you want to put out there, I guess? Just we've got safe jury trials going on, or
We could. I felt like when we did this last year, the response, it was pretty minimal response. I mean, I can definitely put a little PR piece out there, but
totally up to you. Totally up to you.
I'm fine skipping it, honestly. It
Okay.
feels like people are never happy about jury duty, and there's other important things out there that the public might benefit from.
Sure.
I don't know. I had a new costume. I had a new outfit for Jury Awareness Month, and now I'm not going to be able to wear it.
You can bring it, Chris. We just summoned our 2021 jurors. You can do that.
All right.
Okay, so then looking forward to October. First Responder Appreciation Month. Sometimes we, you know, if somebody sends us a basket or something, like we would grab a photo and put it out there generally, just from like the PD standpoint. But it feels a little weird to be like, hey, appreciate us this month, you know? So that's one where it's, you know, might be best.
But I think that's one that can be crafted from the CJCC standpoint and then pushed out to all of the social media pages.
Originating from like the county page.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
That feels less
right.
to me. So yeah, just, you know, acknowledging, and then, you know, it's fire and EMS and everything like that too. Which, is anyone from fire involved with in any of the various work groups?
Okay. Nope.
I was just curious. The other thing I don't know if this might tie in like very loosely to that, but we're working with the fire department right now to schedule a Battle of the Badges blood drive, because that's deemed an essential service still during COVID, and the Red Cross has different precautions they've taken. So, you know, they do temperature checks and they make sure everybody can be spaced out, and they take only like appointment only to really limit the number of people there at any given time. So that I think is going to be October 22nd and 23rd.
Okay.
And so when people go and give blood, they can schedule a time, and then they say, oh, I want mine to count towards police or fire, you know.
So can we do a little bit of video? A little, somebody from the fire department, somebody from the PD, somebody from the sheriff's department, just a little like, hey, we got spirit. Yes, we do. Spirit. How about you?
That and Stout PD too is
And Stout PD
is interested, and so that might be kind of fun to, well, anyway, yeah, I like that idea to kind of kick it off also, and see if we can get a Red Cross rep to come for that also. But
Nice.
anyway, so that might be able to tie in a little bit, like, here's a way to support our first responders. Go give
Absolutely.
blood.
Yep. Absolutely.
Woohoo. Okay. I like when like different projects can come together.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
nice.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And then, so Coffee with a Cup, I haven't formally talked about it, but we were just talking about doing like a virtual, another virtual event, like we've done in the past. And in addition, I'm this Friday going to be doing, which I think it's October 2nd, so it counts for October, another ride tweet along, because I normally would be for homecoming, but it's not really happening. So I'm just
Great.
gonna ride and tweet. So
Great.
So one of the things that we did that I would certainly say take the idea if it works, at least at some point in time for Coffee with a Cop. One of the things that we did with Stepping Stones was they do a breakfast. We've done last year, we did 2 breakfasts that just kind of promote what Stepping Stones did, and invited some of the bigger givers, you know. So this year we're actually doing virtual breakfast, and if you sign up ahead of time, we'll bring you coffee and a donut, or coffee and a muffin.
that's a good idea.
So you could just do, you know, you could limit it. You could say the first 20 people who sign up or whatever, first 10 people, doesn't really matter. But just something that if you sign up ahead of time, we'll bring you a cup of coffee and a pastry.
That's a fantastic idea. I love it. That's really cute. I'm gonna sign up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, I really like that idea, because that's a fun way to make it less like, gosh, another virtual thing that I have to just sit and watch. And then we
I stole it from I actually stole it from our church, because for Easter somebody said I stole it from our church. Somebody, one of the people put together little Easter care packages, and they just said they'll be delivered on Easter morning sometime between 8 and 8:30.
Oh.
And then so they just left them on the door, and you just knew to watch for them. And yeah, so
cool. I like it. Oh gosh, now you got my wheels turning, because National Coffee with a Cop Day is sometime in a week or two. I think we could do it. But yeah, I really like that. And then I could see it being fun to tag along with, you know, having somebody, an officer or whatever, deliver it, and then videoing people as, you know, you drop it on thing and then step back and wait for them to get it.
Yep.
You know,
connection
exactly. in the time of COVID.
Yeah, and just any positive thing that we can promote at this point in time has got to go someplace. I mean, in the not even in the really big picture, but in the picture of all the work that we do, any positive promotion for any of our partners is just is part of our mission.
The other thing that ties in with that also is Food for Fines was approved to happen again this year, which is really great. And so, but I don't, with people paying parking tickets I have to figure out how that's going to happen, because right now our window is closed again, kind of by appointment only. So I don't know if they're encouraging people to pay tickets just strictly electronically, or if they want people to set up times to come in and pay them. So I'm not entirely sure how it will look, but we at least got the okay to do it and figure something out, which is nice. And having a little bit of a month's cushion gives us some time to plan. So
Yeah, I basically took our calendars from the last 2 years and moved things to this 2020 calendar. So it is on the list as a carryover from last year. So is it November when that rolls out?
It starts November 1st to coincide with calendar parking. And then it goes through December 31st, but I'm going to start putting information out at sometime in October whenever we get the information and get things kind of sorted out here as to kind of what to plan for if you're looking to participate, kind of thing.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so what I will do is kind of take these months, domestic violence and the national mental illness, and even the first responder one, and craft a kind of that message, a real short message from the CJCC perspective. So whether I'm highlighting programs or partnerships, but then I'll send it to the group for proofing. And then once we get our wordsmithing, we can just send those out. And then I guess we'll identify whether we want it to be the county page to take the lead, or the MPD's Facebook. So we'll get some things together there.
Sure, that sounds good. So the next piece is the OWI forum planning, which just as a brief recap, we had talked at the end of last year or the beginning of this year that the exec had interest in having some forums and keeping up with those, like we had the town halls previously. And so with the focus being on the alcohol initiative piece. And so like everything in 2020, looking at holding it virtually potentially. And so with the exec not having met yet, it's a little bit tough to pinpoint an exact date, but Sarah and I had talked about trying to look at kind of end of October, beginning of November, to have that, just to get it in before the holidays and before people get really busy and focused on other things. So with that, and I think we had talked about having it via Zoom, correct? That being the platform. Sarah?
Yes, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The nice thing with Zoom is then it allows you to stream to a Facebook page. So we could have it on Zoom, have it streamed to a page, and then from the other independent pages, share it so that people are able to watch it live, essentially from a variety of different components. We did that with the town hall, the educational town hall about COVID before the schools came back in session. And that worked really well. I kind of sat on Facebook and monitored the questions coming in there, submitted them in through Zoom. They had one person on Zoom that was compiling all the questions and then dispersing them. And then we had another person that was moderating. And actually like kind of facilitating the discussion. So that worked pretty well for addressing questions as they came in. And there were some that were pre-submitted ahead of time, which were then tackled first. So I don't know if you had anyone had any thoughts or preferences with that kind of format. because I think it would be nice, you know, when it comes for Sarah to speak with the exec, to have kind of a proposed outline.
Yeah, I agree. Some sort of kind of sketch of what we want, who we'd want to be part of it, and then I think kind of what our focus message would be, and then whether who's going to moderate. Well, we can figure out that, but we would have a moderator. We'd have somebody monitoring questions. I think your example in trial was very helpful, because I think since you've already done it, it'll be a little bit easier to do it again. But I think as far as the date, once we identify who we want to be part of our forum, or who's willing to be part of it, we can send out a doodle and get the date, so we get that scheduled. But we can talk about maybe the time of day we'd want to do this, and then maybe what sort of what's our message or focus going to be.
I think at least for time of day, that is a little bit of a challenge, because the last time we did the format like this, it was like a 4 to 5 p.m. kind of scenario, which worked. But then that meant that you had a ton of people hopping on at about 5 o'clock with a bunch of questions that were just getting off of work or just able to tune in. That made it a little tricky. And so that a couple of them, I think, went unanswered. And we're going to have that potential limitation no matter when we do it. Like, you know, we might not get to everything. But my proposal would be like either kind of one way or the other, like either do it 3 to 4 or do it like 7 to 8 or something like that, rather than kind of in that middle time frame. That seems a little bit tricky.
Do you think the day of the week matters? I mean, if it was, I'm just thinking about who's our main audience here, and whether it's a work day or a weekend.
I think not a weekend.
Yeah, we've tried that library forum on a Saturday, and that, right, I think Saturdays, I mean, people are going about their business. Yeah.
So what if we did, maybe this is too much of a big bite, and I'm okay with that, but what if we did both? What if we did an afternoon one and we did an evening one? And just sort of see what the participation looks like.
I mean, the nice thing with having things virtual is that people can go back and watch them.
That's true.
I feel
that's
like,
true. Yeah, it's redundant.
And people are getting virtualed out a little bit. Yeah. And so I think if we can keep it relatively short and to the point, that would be good. But that said, if people do come on later with a bunch of more questions, maybe we could do a follow-up, or we could, you know, get everyone together, do a quick little, here's the questions that came in late, that kind of thing.
I think in terms of content, I think it would be nice to do a presentation of our OWI data, just because I think that was sort of part of what got us thinking about this, was just the, you know, kind of the compelling nature of the numbers, the blood alcohol, just the number of criminal OWIs that occur in our county. Time of day, I think, was telling. Age was telling. Like, there's just a lot of good data in that. So I think a short presentation, or not short, but, you know, a presentation regarding the data and having that available would be good. And then I think about, I mean, logically, my brain kind of goes to like process stuff, like, you know, kind of what happens. Maybe, I don't know if it's what happens when you're arrested, but certainly what like the prosecution of that looks like what happens when I get an OWI.
The other thing also that I think people don't, because I hear a lot of people saying, well, your first one's not criminal, et cetera, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be cheap or,
right,
you know, an easy situation for you to have to work through.
Yep.
So I like the process, a little bit of education piece, like you know, what are the costs?
Mhm.
How will this affect your life, your first OWI compared to, you know,
Yeah, and it's not really like the scared straight stuff, but like honestly, I don't really know what would happen if I got arrested for an OWI.
transparency.
Yeah.
So with that, I think that's really good to kind of to present the data as it exists and answer questions, to get people interested in asking questions. We'll have to kind of frame it in a way like, you know, why should they care?
Mhm.
You know,
So in my
Mhm.
mind, if we want to tie it back to the work the data work group's done, and then like the purpose of this committee, I think in my mind, the natural tie back would be there are a lot of good resources to not get an OWI. You know, like there are options.
Mhm.
We don't, you know, we believe that OWIs are a major driver in our system and a use of time and resource of people that that could be used in a better manner, and it is a avoidable offense. So to really kind of instead of the, oh, here's Mr. or Mrs. Officer out to get you, or here's Mr. or Mrs. Prosecutor out to prosecute you, this is what's going to happen if you get an OWI, but our goal is for you never to get one.
Mhm. Mhm. And we had spoken too, I think, about tying it in with the posters, making it a little bit more of a campaign.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And recognizing and I don't know if there's someone that can speak eloquently to the mindset, but recognizing that we live in a culture that's been accepting of drinking and driving, and that, you know, part of our goal is to change that mindset, that not to make drinking and driving evil, to offer options for people to not have to drink and drive. I think there's a subtle messaging in there, or maybe not so subtle messaging in there, that's
Mhm.
important to continue to promote.
Mhm.
Which, for the people that are going to show up and watch a forum, is probably not going to speak to them, but it does speak to the work that we're doing to try to get a different message out.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like too, the people that are going to take the time to tune in, you know, however they go one way or the other, in all likelihood, they're going to learn something they didn't know before.
Yep.
And tell other people when it comes up in conversation, or you know, or if they see it on Facebook or something like that.
Absolutely.
So maybe then if we can kind of direct the exec to find a I would venture like a Thursday.
Mhm.
It would be maybe a good day to aim for.
Mhm.
And then run the time options by them, see how they feel, because I would think we would want a law enforcement component, a judge, prosecutor. There you go. Thank you. I was like missing it. And then
Maybe treatment,
yeah,
because you get a OWI results in a driver safety plan, assessment driver safety plan. I don't know that people necessarily know that, but some quick discussion about that part of it.
yeah, I would think just people that are kind of that touch that in the system, and then I think if we keep it focused in that way, that would probably be good. You know, we could loop somebody in from Arbor Place potentially. But if we want to keep it focused on just kind of let's not do this in the first place, here's what could happen. That.
But if you want to know about, if you want to include the costs of someone's life, the treatment side of it is a cost.
That's true.
I
That's
mean,
true.
you're going to pay 200 and some odd dollars to get an assessment. Even if that assessment says you don't need any more treatment, you're going to need to go to that assessment.
For sure. Sure. And someone from the treatment side of things. And then I think that's 5, right? 4 or 5.
Yep.
I think that's good. You don't want to get too many people because then it gets a little bit muddy, especially when trying to field questions out to different people and you have people tuning in and whatnot. But I think that's a good core group. So yeah, Sarah, then if you can have them kind of look at days and times, feel out who might be interested, and then kind of run the proposed focus by them, that would be great. Any other thoughts with the forum piece? Okay. And so I think because if we try and get it done end of October, early November, we might have to do some of the logistical coordination via email between now and then, just because that is coming up. Do we need any kind of action to like approve that?
No, I mean, this
Okay.
this group kind of just feeds into that group, and whether we want to have formal actions or just that we agree, these work groups are a little bit looser than the full council as far as that goes. But
Okay.
right, I think you know, we've got consensus on putting it together. It's an objective that we wanted to do this year. So really, I think it's kind of getting the sense from our executive, their appetite for it so quickly, you know, if we can get it done in the next month or two. But I think since we've done it before, since you've done it before, it's not as laborsome as our in-person forums were last year, where we have to drive and get to places, and you know, we don't have any of those logistics that we need to worry about there, which I think just makes it easier for us to launch. And then I'll get also their feedback on the content to see if there's anything else that they'd like to be sure that we cover. But I think this could be just a really nice idea to get together. And I like that it builds on the work that we've already done in this group and in other groups as well.
Yeah. So the one piece I would say for everyone to think about is like, if you think of a snazzy tagline.
I know, I was trying to think of that.
Like, I full on mom brain today, so like there's nothing there creatively at the moment, but you know, like not stay sober, get pulled over, but you know, something kind of catchy that's gonna stick in people's
We
minds.
can't use this because
And
it's
can
already
it-
been used,
and
but
it's
like,
trade-
just don't do
yeah.
it.
Or make the safer choice, like our kind of our tagline.
Make the safer
sure.
choice.
There you
Because
go.
ultimately that's what we're
Yeah,
trying
that's what we're
to-
about.
Yeah.
Yep, good
Consistency.
one, Sarah.
I like it. Okay. All right. Well, that sounds good. So we have some kind of next steps outlined. Thoughts on a next meeting date then?
Well, if we get a date for a forum in late October and early November, we might want to meet just before that.
Sure.
Yep, I agree. And then also I'm wondering how we're going to get the word out that we have this forum, and potentially if we wanted to use some of the funding that the Partnership for Youth would have available, maybe for some advertisements or ways to kind of promote it. But that's a potential use of the funds, whether it's a Facebook ad or you know, radio ad, I don't know.
Yeah, so we, you know, especially with funding, we can definitely look into some additional ways to get the word out. Certainly press release, And then Facebook events they're really great for like the virtual Zoom events because you can just put the link right in there and it's really easy. And you can actually broadcast. So if we're broadcasting from Zoom to a Facebook Live, you can have a Facebook Live going within an event page. So it's like Facebook and Inception, video Inception, but it's made it really easy to kind of streamline all of that. So I would say certainly that component as well. But we'll want to, once we land on a date, we'll want to get some kind of a press release out, some kind of type information out at least 2 weeks in advance. 2 to 4 is kind of optimal. So I'm just looking ahead here to October. Would we want to potentially or be able to look at meeting the week of the 19th through the 23rd? Just to sort out any logistics with this potential forum coming up if they land on a date. And then that's also right before that the blood drive is Thursday, Friday, so we can figure out any kind of communication that needs to come out with that.
Yeah, that works for me. Typically not typically, but lately this group's been meeting on Mondays at 11.
Okay.
So I don't know if Monday the 19th at 11 would work for folks, or if we should look for a different day that week.
I can
make it work.
flexible.
All right, should we go with that?
That works for me, yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Great.
Great, then this will get moving along. And like I said, we have the executive on Wednesday, so I'll get the word back then, and then we'll get moving here.
Great.
Perfect.
Great.
Sounds good. Well, then that concludes the meeting, so we can adjourn. If there's a motion. Wait.
No, you don't need one.
You're
no,
good.
no,
You just
we can
adjourn.
adjourn.
Yep. All right.
No
Well,
one
thank you.
has ever not voted for adjournment
Right.
in the history of adjournments.
Oh, okay. Well,
Great.
thanks everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a